Cedar Point is home to 18 roller coasters, being America's roller coaster and touted as one of the best or the best amusement park in the entire world. So where do the roller coasters rank from worst to best? We're going to get to the bottom of what's on top. Here's my rankings of every roller coaster at Cedar Point from worst to best. And make sure you comment your favorites down below. Even if you want to rank all 18 from worst to best, I'll give you a special shout out in the comments down below. But rank your top 5 or your favorite or your least favorite, whatever it is. Comment down below your favorite at Cedar Point. Cedar Point is in Sandusky, Ohio, like I said, with 18 roller coasters, being Ohio's second best amusement park. We're going to get to the bottom, what's on top. Number 18, I have Wilderness Run. This roller coaster is a kid's roller coaster. Used to be Junior Gemini, and it was the first roller coaster I rode at Cedar Point as a kid. Growing up in Northeast Ohio, now I live in Michigan, I grew up on Cedar Point roller coasters, and I've been there countless times. Number 17, Woodstock Express, right next to it, is another step up, but it's also a little bit more thrilling. It's good for like the middle-aged kids, but I love this ride. It's a good step up. It's a good family ride. 16, out of the major roller coasters, I think Corkscrew's the worst roller coaster. 1, it's just short. 1, it runs like 1 or 2 trains every day. And 3, it is a complete headbanger, but it's iconic, and I think it'll be forever at the park, whether it's closed or not. The Corkscrews will always be there. 15 is the Cedar Creek Mine Ride. This roller coaster is a decent ride, but if you go down south, you have Adventure Express, which is a superior mine train in Ohio. But I think this roller coaster is a perfect plot of land for a family launch coaster like Big Bear Mountain or something like that. But it's a decent ride. It never has a wait, so it's still fun. Number 14, I had this a little behind my rankings a few years ago, but I have Iron Dragon. I went on this year one time in May, and it was absolutely crawling through that layout. And it's a good family coaster, but like I said, I've been on better. I've been on the Bad. I've been on the Vortex. And number 13, I have Blue Streak. Blue Streak is an iconic wood coaster, one of the oldest coasters in the park. It's a little bit rough, but it still is pretty fun. But I think it would be very beneficial to put some Titan track on this or some, maybe RMC 208 track. At number 12, I have Gemini. This roller coaster is a lot of fan favorites, but in the years that I've been there in the last 5 years, I've seen it race maybe one time, and it's usually running one train. So this roller coaster to me is frankly a little bit boring with the turns, and it's kind of slow, so that's why I have it low. At number 11, I have Rougarou. I got a re-ride on this a few nights ago during Saturday, during Hollow weekends. At night, this ride is hauling, and if you keep your head forward, you really don't feel the head banging. I don't think it's that bad. A few years ago, I used to say it was, but I think it's fine. Cracking into number 10 is Wild Mouse. One of the newest roller coasters at the park, is one of the smoothest, and if you get the cheese train, you're going to spin like crazy. And I truly appreciate what Cedar Point did with this area. The boardwalk area, the full refresh. Yes, Wicked Twister's gone, but I think this area with the flat rides and the restaurant is completely better. At number 9, you have one of the most iconic and legendary rides of all time. That is Magnum XL 200. This roller coaster was the first hypercoaster, the first coaster to go over 200 feet. It spans lots of land. It goes through the water park, over by the lake shore, all the way to the lake. And it's fun, but it's definitely fallen out of grace for me in the past few years. Just because the speed aspect's it's kind of janky. Those triangle hills have some violent ejector airtime, which I really am not a fan of. And my group of people that travel with me never want to ride this anymore. So it's kind of fallen out of grace. It's at number 9 for me. At number 8, you have Valravn. Valravn is one of those coasters that if it has a 30 to 45 minute wait, I'll probably go on it, or if I have a fast pass. But Valravn, I'm not really a big fan of dive coasters unless it's Yukon Striker. Valravn, though, is definitely my second favorite dive. It spells out Script Ohio, even though I'm a Michigan fan, go blue. But this roller coaster is incredibly smooth in the back row. You get some amazing airtime off that first drop. And like I said, yeah, it's a little bit short in the layout. It's a dive coaster, but I still think it's fun, and it provides enough thrill for me if I'm going to wait 30 to 40 minutes. At number 7, you have Raptor, one of the most iconic legendary B&M inverts of all time. It's one of the first, and it's one of the best. I think Raptor is incredibly smooth for what it is nowadays. I think maybe 30 years later. 30 years later. It does need a paint job, though. I've noticed that in my most recent visit, it definitely needs a paint job, but the inversions are all pretty whippy. You get good intensity on that. The drop is great. The B&M roar you can hear throughout the entire park, but I think Raptor is still great, and it still holds value for how old it is. At number 6, I'm going to lose a lot of you here, but please stay with me. I have Millennium Force, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. In my most recent visits, I've noticed Millennium Force is either running 2 trains, or the one day it was running 1 train in my most recent visit. I've been to the park 4 times this year, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is the technology has grown so much since 2000 when this ride came out. You have Fury, you have other rides like Leviathan and Orion that have better immersion, better elements, and this roller coaster is just like Overbank Central. And don't get me wrong, on the bottom of that first drop, just going over the lake and seeing the beautiful lake view is one of the most best settings for a roller coaster, and I definitely gray out on the bottom of that hill every single time. But it's a prototype. It was the first of its kind. Intamin was experimenting, and they definitely have come a long way since, just looking at like rides like Intimidator 305/Pantherian, and also it doesn't have a lot of airtime. It's decent airtime, and like I said, I like the layout. It spans a good distance throughout the park, but it kind of meanders through that layout. We have cracked the top 5, and the top 5 at Cedar Point is truly incredible for how much talent and how much amazing roller coasters are in this top 5. Let's go down. At number 5, we have Gatekeeper, the ride that reinvented the front gate, that took out disaster transport and space spiral and truly renovated this front gate into what it is now, and one of the most iconic front gates for any theme park. It's beautiful. Just going through the keyholes is so much fun. Is the ride perfect? No. Is it on Lakeside the best side? Yes. But there is a little bit of a rattle. There's a little bit of a bounce, but that's just given when you're sitting on a wing seat on a B&M. Just look at it nowadays with Rapterra. But whenever you're riding front row or back row, you get some really good intensity that I got this past weekend, but front row is fantastic. You feel like you're flying like a bird, and you're just going through the keyholes. You look like you're going to hit them, but you're not. I love this ride. It's so underrated, and I would implore you, if you think this ride is kind of boring, just give it a ride in the back row or a row you've never been in before. Okay, number 4 through 1 was really hard to pick, minus number 1, but number 4, the newest roller coaster to the park, minus Siren's Curse, I have Top Thrill 2. Top Thrill 2 is the reimagination of Top Thrill Dragster. I did ride the original, I did ride Dragster, and I will say Top Thrill 2 is definitely my favorite out of all 3 of the models. And 1, you have the first launch. Yes, it is only 70 miles per hour, but coming backwards at 101 miles per hour is a ride experience that you've never got to experience before. Coming up that spike, that 420-foot spike, probably hitting around 350 to 370 feet on the spike, is truly an amazing feeling. Feeling the weightlessness and just hanging up there for a few seconds, looking around the park, and then dropping back down and coming down at a ferocity and getting 120 miles per hour and flying over that top hat is something that will never be replicated again. On the original Dragster or King Nakai, you would kind of crest over that at a decent speed, but on Top Thrill Dragster, on Top Thrill 2, you are flying over that top hat, and then coming down through that spiral, you are being thrown to the side of your seats, and I absolutely love it. One of my most underrated moments on a ride is that spiral coming down. And one last quick shout out to Top Thrill. I think this park and this ride really brought the park together, because during the years it was closed, this park, I don't know, it felt different. The atmosphere felt different. Having that kinetic energy of Top Thrill 2 running and just seeing it fly over the top hat is just something that really does bring the park together, and I just want to give a shout out to that. At number 3, you have the newest addition to the park, one of the most legendary night rides of all time. You have Siren's Curse. This roller coaster, this new tilt coaster, is absolutely phenomenal, and I don't even have any notes on this ride because I just want to talk about how good it is. By far, minus Guardians of the Galaxy and Hagrid's, one of the smoothest roller coasters I've ever been on for the most intensity and all the inversions you do. It's very smooth. The on-ride audio is fantastic with the sirens calling out to you as you're going up the hill. The on-ride lights, onboard lights, whatever they are, they're beautiful. And then the on-ride soundtrack, the upbeat rock music is phenomenal and just adds a lot more experience. And maybe if there wasn't the on-ride audio and the other things like this, maybe it would be a little bit lower in my rankings, but this ride is incredible. It's not the tallest tilt coaster that's going to be opening because you have Iron Rattler, you have Circuit Breaker, you have other rides in other countries, but this roller coaster, for being only 160 feet tall, I think it does truly pack a punch, especially in the back row on that drop. I think back row or towards the back is definitely a lot better. The front row was kind of okay, but I think the back row on these rides is so much better, especially with the drop, the inversions, and just the whippiness that you're going to have with that. But Siren's Curse is solidified. Number 3, it could be number 2, it depends on the day. If you got the right Siren's Curse this year, comment your experience down below and what your favorite row is. At number 2, you have the iconic, it proves that size isn't everything, is Maverick. Maverick stands 109 feet tall, has one of the best first drops in the back row of any roller coaster. It is truly the most whippy coaster I've ever been on in my life, minus Intimidator 305. This roller coaster is incredible. From the elite airtime, the inversions, that launch does not feel 70 miles per hour, by the way, going out of the tunnel, but this roller coaster, if it had the Heartline roll, would probably be one of the best rides in the world. Maverick is incredible and will forever be in my top 20 roller coaster. At number 1, to nobody's surprise, is Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance is been exhaustively talked about as one of the best roller coasters in the world from so many commentary videos from roller coaster YouTubers, TikTokers, and alike. But yeah, it is definitely one of the best roller coasters in the world. It is by far the best RMC in the world that I've been on. It is the perfect culmination of every RMC. It has an amazing first drop. It has some amazing Outer Bank hills. It has some some of the best airtime. It's the king of airtime. You have 34 seconds of airtime on this ride. And when you think the ride's done, it still is continually keep going. In particular, those two Outer Bank hills or whatever after the first drop are some of the best airtime moments on any roller coaster. And one of the most underrated elements is after you get off the brake run, the first dive, the left turn dive into the station or into the structure of the ride is one of the best moments in the ride, in my opinion. Like I said, Steel Vengeance will forever be one of the best roller coasters in the world. It will go down the history books in the Roller Coaster Hall of Fame as one of the best and most iconic rides of all time. Right behind Mystic Timbers is the best ride in the world. But this roller coaster is incredible. The airtime's elite, and it has one of the best layouts of any roller coaster. And thank you, Mean Streak, for paving the way to Steel Vengeance. That is my complete ranking of every roller coaster at Cedar Point in 2025. A new updated list for you. Comment down below what you think of my list. You can roast my rankings all you want, but that's my rankings for Cedar Point in 2025.